Hi, my name is Sarah. I'm a mindset mastery coach, transformational hypnotherapist, and attachment style specialist. In today's video, we're getting into the nitty-gritty of the dismissive avoidant and when they blindside you, otherwise known as a discard. Don't love that term, but it's kind of accurate. And how they silently build a case against you. Because that's really what's going on. If you've been blindsided out of nowhere, and you thought things were going great, they've been silently building a case against you, okay? In their head, in their minds. Okay, let's get into the nitty-gritty. If you want a personal session with me, you can look at the description box below, click a call to book a discovery call with me. Click a link to book discovery call, it's free. And we're going to dive right in. All right, so the dismissive avoidant inside of a connection. And this could either be a short term, but usually in the case of a longer term relationship, they're less likely to discard because there's simply more at stake. And really, I think maybe they would if they could, but they can't because there might be kids, there's property, you have to go through legalities of divorce or legal separation, right? Your lives have been intertwined. I'm really speaking to those of you who are not in those situations. You could still be in a long-term relationship, but maybe less long-term, maybe like 6 months or less, or even a year or less. So if you have some legal kind of binding ties to this person, this could still have happened, definitely, but I do think it's less likely. So let's talk about this. So they're silently building a case against you. Your loving partner, the person you're committed to, the person you maybe wanted to spend the rest of your life with, suddenly they've discarded you. They've decided that this is the end of the relationship. They've decided they're done. And for a dismissive avoidant, typically there is no turning back. I recall my husband saying to me, and by the way, I'm a healing fearful avoidant. If you're new to the channel, have a look around. So my husband leaned more dismissive. Sometimes we go into fearful avoidant territory, definitely. But the dismissive avoidant part of him, that attachment style part of him, like he actually told me, he's like, there's gonna come a point in time where it's gonna be a point of no return for me. And ironically, I understood that because that's also how I operate and how I've operated, at least up until I understood my attachment style and am now leaning more secure and working on leaning more secure as I do my work internally and shift and evolve, okay? So I was like, wow, that's pretty kind of scary, especially if you're an anxious attacher. That can be scary to hear that, but that really is the truth. They will oftentimes throw in the truth to you in conversations and you don't even realize it. And you're like, oh my God, that was truth right there. So down the line, you're going to realize it, right? While you're going through the discard, while you're sort of being tossed in the trash, like, this isn't working anymore for me. The reason why they can say that so quickly and even eloquently, like it's so with such conviction that this is not working for me anymore, is because again, they've been building this case for weeks, maybe months, maybe, I doubt it, but years against you. But that could be the case in a long-term relationship where they could just exit. I have heard from clients where there is an avoidant partner who just like dips out and leaves and basically doesn't care about the money. They'll be served, divorce papers down the line from that person, that avoidant person. And you're like, what just happened? So in their minds, because they typically don't complain, that's just that their attachment wound, again, is they feel, if you've watched any of my videos or know about attachment styles, they feel defective at their core. So their number one wound is defective. I am defective at my core. I am unlovable. I shouldn't even be in a relationship. What the hell am I even doing, trying? So they're going to find ways subconsciously to push you away. They're going to find ways, not even consciously, although sometimes they are aware of it, but oftentimes they're not even aware of the cycle that they're repeating in your relationship that they've repeated in every other relationship in their life. What they learned in childhood was that I have to auto-regulate, I have to self-soothe, and the way that I get my needs met is I meet my needs. Nobody else can meet my needs. They're going to let me down, they're going to disappoint me, and eventually they're probably going to leave anyway. So I'm better off just staying at a distance. They prefer emotional distance. They prefer to auto-regulate their nervous system rather than do it inside of a relationship, which presents like obvious issues, right? If you're not co-regulating with a partner, you're not really in a partnership. You're in like two separate relationships and then you kind of come together, but you're not really in an intimate relationship with each other. They don't like conflict. They want to keep the peace, which really means I don't want you to voice your needs or your wants, your needs inside of this relationship because I'm afraid I can't meet them. And in fact, they sort of hold it against you that you expect them to meet their needs because they're over here meeting their own needs and they're like, why can't you meet your own needs? I'm doing it. So they really don't know what to do with your needs. And they want you, like, a dismissive avoidance dream is to have you, when they leave, let's say they're going on a guy's trip, okay? When they leave, ladies, if you're watching, or men, if you're watching, reverse the roles, they want you to be okay on your own. They don't want you to sit there crying, pining for them. They don't want you to call them every minute. They want you to give them their freedom and space. And they want you to be secure enough to know that you're going to be okay without them for however long they need space, whether they're on vacation, whether they're on a business trip, or they're just saying, hey, I need a couple days to myself. They want you to be okay on your own. If you're anxious leaning, this is nearly impossible for your nervous system to do, right? You're going to start having questions. What are they doing? Who are they with? Are they cheating? Et cetera, et cetera. Even if you're fearful avoidant, you're going to have issues. You're going to feel like if you go into anxious leaning, you're going to have those same, thoughts and fears. If you go into avoidance, you're going to just push them away and be like, I don't need them anyway. And that's one of the fearful avoidants, like, I don't need you anyway. Right? And the avoidance, like, great, great, because I don't want you to rely on me. They're not relying on you to get their needs met. They don't want you to rely on them. That can be very difficult. That's not a secure relationship or partnership. That's two people having two independent experiences and calling it a relationship or a partnership. So they're building this case silently. It may be like small things. And you may hear this in the discard. Like some of my clients have told me what they've heard in the discard. Like, you picked up your fork the wrong way. I didn't like it that you started to become friends with my mom or my sister. And you're like, what? When we were on a trip in Arizona that one time, I don't know, like you stopped off at the wrong gas station. Like, it can be asinine things. And you're like, what is going on? Where did this come from? You never said anything. Or it could just be that they don't feel, because they never voiced anything, it accumulated. It was a cumulative effect. So they accumulated resentment. That's what's really going on here. This is the key word, is resentment. They created and formed resentment over time because they never opened their mouth. They never told you what they needed. They never told you what they wanted out of this relationship. You had needs, you voiced them. They resent you for having those needs and expecting them to meet those needs. They're over here saying, well, I don't need you to meet my needs. But ultimately, really, they do. And so at the end of the relationship, when they're discarding, that's what they were hoping for, is that you could actually meet their needs, that you would somehow be the one who understood them, be the one who actually got it, can meet their needs without them having to tell you what they want. This goes for both fearful avoidance and dismissive avoidance. They want you to meet their needs and they're not going to tell you a damn thing. And guess what? They realize you're not perfect because you weren't a mind reader and you couldn't read their mind and understand what they needed from you in order to support them. So then they're going to feel totally unsupported, unseen, unheard, etc., defective, etc. And you're like, but wait a minute, you never gave me the opportunity to meet your needs. You told me you didn't have any. I asked and you said, don't worry about it. I'll do it myself. That's one of the most famous lines you'll hear from an avoidant. I can do it myself, or I'll do it myself, or I took care of it, or I'll take care of it. They're piling things on, right? Like taskmasters. They're going to pile things on and then hold it against you down the line. And you might not even know, again, this is like an invisible subconscious list that they're forming. At some point, I do believe it becomes conscious. And that's when you're just going to hear, like, they're going to go sideways. They might even yell or scream, when they're discarding you, because they've got so much pent up frustration and aggression. But what's really going on is that they're caretakers. This is an attachment wound. They're not really mad at you. They're honestly mad at themselves for not being able to express their needs or what they want or need, but they're going to take it out on you because you're sort of the sounding board. You're the closest person to them. But they're really upset at their parent or their caretaker who didn't give them what they needed, who never taught them how to bond. They never properly had any oxytocin like streaming through their system. They never actually really bonded in that way. And if they did, it was temporary. It wasn't long term. So therefore, when the dopamine wears off in the honeymoon stage, the honeymoon period, right? When you feel like, oh, I'm gaga, head over heels in love with this person, you can continue because you feel bonded to this person, because you have some oxytocin running through your system, but they don't. And so again, this is like another reason for them to resent you. They're like, why are you so attached to me? I can't handle people needing me. This can extend even to their children. Like if they have adult children, they might be very good at financially taking care of their children, but not so good at emotionally being there. Okay, so yeah, they're like if they call daddy or mommy, like I need this, okay, I'll take care of it, I'll pay that bill for you or whatever. But when it comes down to it, really emotionally being able to be there and be open, they're just not capable of that. Nobody taught them that. And I really do think at their core, they're not mad at you. They're not actually discarding you. It's like they're discarding their parent. Like they're getting the opportunity to discard the one who hurt them. That's what I think anyway. That's what I have derived from my own personal experience, from what I've studied about attachment theory and understood, is that deep down, it's really painful to be a dismissive avoidant, guys. It's painful to be a fearful avoidant. It's confusing as all get out. It's painful to be an anxious attacher. It's less painful to be securely attached. I don't know what the percentage is of people that are securely attached. I think a lot of us are working towards it, or at least we're aware of our attachment wounds, which is a huge step. Awareness is this first step, but then you have to, like, there's so many people that come to me that say, my partner is aware. And I'm like, that's fantastic. That's the first step. But what are they doing about it? What actions are they taking to actually change and shift and evolve? You can be aware of it all day long. You can watch all the courses, read all the books, listen to the podcasts, watch the webinars. And if you're not applying it, then the changes are not going to be made. Your evolution will not occur. And they will come back inside of the relationship. You'll try it again, and you're going to repeat the same cycles ad infinitum unless both of you have done your work to become more secure. So I think that about wraps it up for today's video. I try to keep these somewhat short and concise for you guys and give you kind of bite-sized information. But I thought this was so important to understand that when you're being discarded by an avoidant, typically they've been building this case against you for weeks or months, guys. So that's why it seems so easy for them. That's why they're so detached, that they're like, I'm done. I've made up my mind. I am decided. I'm determined to end this. Then there's a laundry list of reasons why, and you never got they made this, it was unilateral decision. You never got the opportunity to defend yourself. Or if you did, if you try to defend yourself, they would shut you down. It's almost like with a dismissive avoidant, they're like, okay, all right, judge and jury, give me your best argument. And you're like, well, I used to tell my ex, we're not in a courtroom. Like, I feel like I'm being judged, and I feel like I need to have like notes to have this relationship with you to try to prove to you, like, because they don't believe that they're worthy, it's almost like reverse psychology. They're expecting you to prove your worth to them, even though they haven't really been able to ever prove their worth to anybody because they feel like they're defective and unlovable at their core. Ultimately, they're pushing you away before you can push them away. And that's why they've compiled this list. They've compiled this list so that when the time came, if they even sensed that you were leaving, or sensed that it wasn't going to work out, or sensed that you weren't this dreamboat person that they made you out to be in the beginning, there is that love bombing stage, guys, with a dismissive avoidant. There is that stage where you're like, oh my God, I'm blown away. They put you on a pedestal. They're ripping you off that pedestal at the end. It was inevitable. It was always going to happen. So I hope this has given you a better understanding of what's going on in your dismissive avoidant mind during the discard, during the breakup stage, during the divorce. Thank you so much for watching. And if you would please like, share, subscribe, drop a comment, let me know below how this video resonated, and I'll see you in the next one.